Start. I started recording.
Hello, Professor. This is Adeltego and Kartika. We're doing Project 2 presentation right now. So we'll get into it. So the first thing we did was the creation of our classes and their choices. So the first thing we did was we imported from the Java library the util scanner, and then we created the class test1. And then, as you know, the main method is always prompt to be put in there. And then we inputted our header, as you stated, that we needed to put a header of how we can print out in every output our header. As you can see here, we have course as being for semester 1, ITC 5102, last name, our last names, both of our last names, and first names, Adele and Kritika, our student number, and their section, and the policy for Humber, and our date. Then we created a scanner object, and we put out an input, printout input that will show us to pick a choice from 0 to 2. 0 being computing our personal income tax. 1 is printing out the tables for the year 2001 and 2009. And 2 being the exit value, as you might not have wanting to choose either 0 or 1. And then the last printout will ask you to enter your choice, and that means you could choose either from 0 to 1. And having an integers of your choice with the input. As you can see here, we had a statement, an if statement with a choice either 1 or 2, being 0 or 1. All right. For our choices, before our choices are inputted, once you run the code, it will output basically, as you can see, the header, and then it will show you what the inputs are that you could choose. So you could enter what choice you want, either from 0 to 2. So in this situation, we chose 1. When we chose 1, it prompted us to enter the amount value, and the amount value being, we just put a random number being $30,000, and then this is from $30,000 up to 2. Just remember to recall that from and to, because we're going to be telling you guys about that down the slide. So we put it up to 50,000, and we gave us basically a table stating from 30,000 to 50,000 for the year 2001 and 2009. You will see the table eventually in the below, but this is just to show you the entry of how we input and prompt certain codes from our code that we made. Go ahead, Kritika.
Can you show me the slide number 5?
You don't see it?
No.
I'm sharing it right now. Do you see it or no?
No.
Okay, let me just see here. Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Kritika.
For choice number 0, we include personal income tax. In this case, we created simple menu for personal compute income tax and print the tax tables for taxable income with range, and part 2 is exit. First, you enter your choice for 0 or 1 or 2. Suppose you entered 0, then we'll show the constant. 0 for single filer, 1 for qualifying widower, 2 for married separately, and 3 for head of household. Then you enter your filling status. Suppose you entered the 0 in the sense, we will take single filer. Then suppose you enter the 1 in the sense, we take qualifying widower. So what? Then enter the early income. You enter your income here. Then we compute the filing status, tax plus income.
Perfect. Then we get to the get income tax method that we use in our income tax class. This is as well, you go ahead, Kritika. You can explain this one. It's about the two-dimensional arrays.
Here you clarifying the get income tax method in income tax class. Depending upon the input from user using switch statement, corresponding filing stated constant, tax bracket array, rates income tax in passed to the get income tax method in income tax class. Here we use int for travel, intervals and rate for double. Then we showcase the zero for single filer and one for qualifier widower, two for married suppleantee and three for household. Then we get where we use switch case statements. Then we calculate total tax equal to new income tax. Then we get interval and rates and calculate the final income.
Perfect. Now, in choice 2, it's asking the user to input amount from and to. This is where I told you guys about the from and to. So if you can see here, we put a scanner to new scanner as a system in, and then print it out and enter the amount from. So what is from? We stated from as having to be the store for the lower limit for the user. And now it is a double one limit, SC scanner next double. And then we input it for the two, which is enter the amount to. That's being, remember, as you guys remember, we put 30,000 here and then 50,000 too. That's having a double, a U limit for SC next double, and then it will calculate all that and total the taxes and give you an output. So this is why I recalled for you guys to remember the from and to, because that's where we input exactly how much we inputted first as taxes and then later as taxes as well, it being from $30,000 to $50,000. And here, this is creating arrays. I think Kritika will explain that and how we have two-dimensional arrays. Go ahead, Kritika. Are you there?
Sorry. Here we creating two-dimensional array and one-dimensional array. In Java, most of them using one-dimensional arrays. We use both one-dimensional array and two-dimensional array. For intervals, we create two-dimensional array because we access column and plus index. For two-dimensional array, syntaxes, data type, and array name. So the data type is int and array name is intervals. For data type, it decides the type of the elements it will accept. Then array name, this is the name to give it the Java two-dimensional array. Here we use data type is int and the array name is interval. For one-dimensional arrays, commonly array is bunch of elements. We use one-dimensional array for rates, data type is double, and identifier name is rates.
Okay, that's good. And as you guys can see here, for single filer, we put the amount that was asked for. If you were to pick a choice, same thing here. As you can see for married jointly, it's from 45,000 up to 297,000. For married separately, it's having a range from 22,000 up until 148,000, and from head of household having 36,000 up until 29,000, and that's for the first intervals. And for the second intervals, as you can see, it has increased as well. This is probably because this is for the year 2009. Obviously, as the year progresses, your wage obviously increases, and so does inflation. So here is the loop increments in the printout table for us. So I'm just gonna kind of zoom in for you guys. I know you guys can't see it much, but let me just do this. There we go. So here we use the loop to have an increment up to 1,000. As you can see here, It's incremented to 1000. We calculated it, and we did a system printout for n plus I being our variable, and the total income tax having the new income tax that you're going to be inputting, and the new income tax is single filler, the intervals being double, the rates double, I as well, and get the income tax. This is the same income tax method that we've used for our income tax class. We do the same thing for married. We do the same thing for married separately. We do the same thing for our head of house. And then we actually print out exactly what's going to be looking into the table. So for the first table, this is 2000, I believe, 2009. We did it for the same thing for 2001. And it's the same scenario. The slash TT is just the spacing between the headers. So you have income tax slash TTT slash TT. That means two double space, single, and then slash TT married, and then slash TT married separately. You can add as many TTs to kind of space it out, but that's how it's done on Java. Then we go on ahead to creating income tax class and initiating variables and constants. Go ahead, Kritika, this is your turn.
First, we creating income tax class and we declared constants. Here we declared 4 constants for single filer, married jointly, and head of household. In Java, constant variable is whose value can't change when it has been assigned. To Java doesn't have an inbuilt support for constant. To define a variable as a constant, we just need to add the keyword final in front of the variable declaration. Constant syntax is static final data type identifier name equal to value. As per the rules, we created public static final int is data type and single filer is the identifier name equal to 0 is the value. As per the same rule, we implemented to build other 3 constants. Public static final int married jointly, then public static final int married separately, public static final int head of household. Then we create initializing variable. To declare an initializing variable is, in Java we have 3 type of variables. First one is local variables, and second one is instant variables, and third one is static variable. Here we used instant variables because instant variable is non-static and we can access the class outside of any method, constructor or block. Here we use the constructor method. We have another class name is test1. Instant variables are declared in a class. These variables are created when an object of the class is created and destroyed when the object is destroyed. Unlike local variables, we may use access specifier or instant variables. We do not specify any access specifier. Then the default access specifier will be used. Installation of instant variable is not mandatory. This default value is 0. Instant variable can be accessed only by creating objects. Here we created private int filing status and private int intervals and private double rates and private double taxable income.
Perfect. All right. Then we initialize the variables. Just as Katika said, we declare them and initialize the arrays for the filing status, intervals, rates, and taxable income. And as you can see, it's shown here as below, just as a FYI. There's nothing much to add to this slide, to be honest. We just wanted to clarify that these were the variables we've used. Then we get into the setters and getters, which is pretty much the final stage of our code. Here is where we create a method that gets us all the needed attributes, being filing status, the brackets, the rates, the taxable income, and also calculate the income tax for stating 1. As you can see here, we set the new filing status. We use a public void status to set the filing status. and this filing status will obviously equal filing status. We name the same variable, and then it will return an interval, being a public integer, get intervals, and then it will return the intervals. Then we set again a new interval, and that it being interval as one of our variables. Then we returned the rate as a public double, and then and obviously we'll return back an output basically. Then we again set the new rates as well. Same thing, give us a return as well of for the rates as well. No, for the rates you don't need to have a return value because we don't really need a return value for rates. Rates are used to calculate the income tax. And finally, we are returning the income tax using the income method, the taxable income method, which is the get taxable income method. And that's where we return a taxable income. So in this situation, we do have a return or output. Same thing here as well. We set it as well. We set taxable income method and give it a variable, and it being a double being taxable income. And then we calculate the income tax by outputting the variables. Do you want to go ahead, Kritika, and explain that?
Yeah, we have some rules to getter setter method for to declare, public methods to modify and view the values. The method that is used to set, modify the value of private instant variable of a class is known as setter method. And the method that is used to retrieve the value of the private instant variable is known as getter method. The constructor are used to initialize the instant variable of a class or create objects. The setter-getter methods are used to assign and change the retrieve values of the instant variables of a class. In this program, we used to return filing status and return rates and return intervals. And getter method is get intervals and get rates and get taxable income tax method.
Perfect. As you can see, how this setter and getter is explained is you just have to look at how we get interval, set interval. Same thing here, get rates, set rates. For setting the rates, we have a double rates. We stated it. As you can see here for the taxable income is get taxable income, set the taxable income. And as you can see, the variable is being a double taxable income. So same thing here, when we calculate the tax, we get the income tax, and then and in this situation, I don't think we have to set it. So we just get the income tax, and that's all. Oh no, we did set it here. My apologies. We did set the taxable income, and then we use the get income tax to state it, and having the variables integers I equals 0, j equals 0, and calculate equals 0, and then we inputted a loop. In this situation, a loop helps us out to just recalculate and make sure that nothing is wrong with our code. And if there is, it'll just go back to it and you recalculate it based on the two calculations that we have here. That's if and else. And while these are being implemented, we use the while taxable income that's greater than the interval, which is I, and then it will give a return value of total tax. I'll give an example of how this looks just below here. So as you guys can see, this is the value that was stated that would be used above right here to return the total taxes. As you can see here, we inputted 0. Actually, I will just share my screen on Java to explain the code. But so far, this is for choice 1, and this is choice 2. As you can see, this is, let me just zoom in. This is choice 1 and how it's shown and how it's inputted and what's the results below. For choice 2, as you can see, this is the results we inputted, and this is the table we've gotten for the year 2001 and the year 2009. So if I go to my Java, I'm going to share my Java. Just give me a sec, just to show you guys how the are we still recording? Okay, good.
Yes, Adil, still we are recording.
All right, perfect. All right, so in this situation, I'm just going to input our code just to show how it works. You guys can see we have a test one, an income tax generated right here. This is our test one. So what we do is just refresh, run this. As you can see here, this is for choice. Let's do choice 1, which is 0. Then we put 1, and then an income tax of 50,000, and the user's tax income tax is 8,100. So choice 1 works. Then we do it again. Then we do choice 2, which is being 1, and then we put, let's say, 20,000, and then you have an increase of, I don't know, 60,000. And as you guys can see, I don't know if you guys can see that this is the year 2001 table for taxable income for 20,000 to 60,000. So you guys can see from start to finish for either being single, married, joint, and here for 2009, obviously taxable income, being single, married, joint, and etc. Pretty good tool to use. Thank you, Professor. This is all we have. If you guys have any questions, please email us. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Adil.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.